just a man until I put my badge and uniform on. At that point I'm right and you know you're wrong. And we don't get to choose which laws I enforce and you obey. I'm sorry it has to be this way. You don't know how many times I ask myself why. I give you a lawful order and you just don't comply. But if you just stop resisting, I would not do this thing, It's not murder when I do it, so why'd you have to put me through it? Sorry that you're dead. When I said start walking backward towards me on one elbow, you couldn't do that for me. So what can I do now? I'm not worried about the investigation, but I had no plans for this paid vacation. It hurts me so, I just don't know why people keep on talking trash. I'm just trying to protect and serve and maybe grab some cash. But if you just stop resisting, maybe stop and listen, yes, you died in our altercation, but I'm the real victim in the situation. If you just stop resisting, I would not do this thing, It's not murder when I do it, but why'd you have to put me through it?
Hey, guys.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Welcome to Liberty Late Night. I'm Mary.
Dave.
Yes, we're out here hanging out.
Yeah.
Tonight we got a great guest. We have Judge Jim Gray coming on the show, and he is running for president under the Libertarian Party. And he has chosen his running mate, VP. It will be Larry Sharpe, and we love Larry. And so we're super excited to get to talk to Jim and get to know him. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So without any further ado, let me ask you guys this. Is everybody feel like they're dying in quarantine? Like this house arrest?
And why the hell is it snowing?
And why is it snowing? Yes, all day it snowed today. It's just the end of the world, I'm pretty sure. So, hey,
Hi,
Aaron,
Ray.
what's up? Ray's here. Kirk Dunbar.
Hey, Ray's here!
Yeah, what's up? David Matson.
David.
Only here for the
We love
comments.
David.
Oh, I understand. Ariane, how are you doing? I see Dave, Seth, Aaron, Kenner's here also. John Jacob. What's up, guys?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Yeah, he was on time.
Oh, Aaron was on time. He was, yes. And he
Laura?
acknowledged Aaron's.
Laura?
Oh,
Laura.
Laura. Hi. Thank you
Jamie
again so
Ray.
much for the package for the kiddos. It was so great. And for Dave, too.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. It was very, very exciting. And I don't think they've told me they're bored
Ooh,
in a
does that
few
mean
days, which is really
Celeste is
nice.
masked?
They've had stuff to do. Oh, wait, Celeste. Oh, I'm working and still bored. Oh, yeah. Celeste, you've been having to wear a mask
Jerry?
at work?
Excuse
That's
me.
a thing now, where you are. Hi, Jerry. Because they're going to start that here, too. Actually, I think Sunday night is when it goes into effect. So, anyone else required to wear a mask by law? I mean, you know, I don't know how they're really going to enforce it all, but I've heard people are getting turned away at stores for not having their masks on.
It's infuriating.
Yeah.
I had
You had-
signs all over my beer distributor saying I can't come in without a mask starting
Yeah.
Monday or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Derek, no need to cancel
Sean
plans with
Hatchie.
friends anymore. Oh, Sean, you're going to punch out and head home. I'm happy. Let us know how you're doing, too. Yeah. So Ariane says where she is, the same thing. You have to wear a mask out in public. And I'm assuming that's not just like if you're taking a walk around the block just to get some fresh air.
Go into a
But
building.
are we allowed to even go out for walks anymore? Like, is that a thing?
I know we are.
I run around public parks all day. I am not quarantined. I'm faster than the police. Stop chasing me. Oh, the ninja mask. Yes. Okay, only in public places. Jerry's not wearing shit. Well, to get into our beer distributor,
Yeah, I gotta
we're
get
going to
into
have
beer
to wear
distributor.
the mask. But
I don't want to upset her.
oh boy, Andrew Cuomo's visiting your store every 5 minutes to force me to wear a mask.
$1,000 fines in California.
Oh gosh, so I believe it. He's a nut. Florida's opening beaches again. That's wonderful news. That's wonderful news. Let's see. I am here. Oh, they're handing out $1,000 fines. What?
How about Liberty Neat Memes page, no space? I think
Hi,
he shared
Jamie.
it 3 times. He shared this article about one of the Facebook fact checkers who was notorious for fact checking the virus stories about it leaking from a Chinese lab.
Oh, okay.
And turns out she used to work for that lab in Wuhan.
What?
She worked in the bat coronavirus position or department or whatever. Apparently that's a department.
I didn't know that was a department.
And so Liberty Memes, no space, just Liberty Memes is a page that shared that. He shared it 3 times, and I think it had a total of maybe like 15 reactions to all, like,
That's weird.
combined.
Yeah.
Like there was 3 on one, 2 on another, and when Liberty Memes
Coincidence?
posts something, it gets like 100 reactions right away.
Yeah. Weird. I'm surprised it didn't just get taken down. They do that now, where it's the
That's
article's just like, someone's like, I posted this
fake news.
article. Yeah, and they just take it down. Yep. I gotta get on Audible. That's Jamie
Cuomo
says it.
virus.
That's what has been a boredom buster for him during the day. So,
Oh, that's okay.
Let's see, video. Oh,
Ariane, I saw your messages like way after the show last Friday.
oh
so I
yeah,
apologize.
last week. Yes.
I didn't get you a link or anything.
Yeah, I don't know what time it was, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even check during the show," you know, because we just get caught up in being, you know, in the show.
Snark.
A boog themed neck gaiter. Wait,
I'm not sure what that is. Is that like when you pull up?
Oh, okay. He's wearing a useless piece of cloth. Useless piece of cloth keeps the pirates away. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, are they going to start requiring that it be a certain one or type? Or one of the things in our area, they said that they're going to require employers to hand out masks to their employees.
Where are they getting these
starting.
masks?
That's what I want to
Or
know.
are they just getting the Etsy masks that, you know, they're crocheted by some grandma somewhere.
I don't know.
I don't. It's more security theater, but they're so adamant about it. It feels like just like the only thing they're interested in just being tyrannous. You know, it's like they just want to force us to do more things.
Yeah.
Because like the one girl said in one of our news sites, they're like, why aren't people just wearing their masks? And our friend said, because liberty and science.
The two combined. Yeah, because I remember at first they're like, don't wear just any mask because it doesn't do anything, and you know.
Coronavirus cured the flu and pneumonia. So it's done good things.
Oh, that's right, because nobody gets pneumonia anymore. Yeah.
They get coronavirus.
Okay, yep. Just a tax ploy. Yeah, they also said too that if somebody at a business gets the corona, then they're going to have to start doing temperature testing every morning when you come into work. Like, that's going to do
They did that to a
anything.
shop before I went out. They did a shop there, and the traffic was backed up like a mile and a half.
Yeah.
At shift change.
Because, I mean, you don't show symptoms for possibly up to 2 weeks, so what is taking someone's temperature going to do at all? And if it's 100.4, they're going to send you home and probably put you on some kind of list.
That's what they're doing. They're trying to spread that Shakira law. So the hijabs are coming.
Hijabs. Oh, man. So who else is essential that is out there working with, you know, the rest of the public? I know we got 2 grocery store workers in here as of right now.
A lot of
but-
essential work out there.
Yeah. And well, where have we been? Dave went to New York to get some alcohol
Yeah,
the
a
other
lot of
day.
alcohol. I heard that Ohio shut it down, so out of state people couldn't buy alcohol there. So I jet that minute over to New York.
Yeah,
stocked up
real
again.
quick to get. Yeah, at this point they just want to see what. Yeah, yep, I think that too. Oh, rectal. Rectal.
That's what really slows down the traffic.
Temperatures.
You need me to what?
Touch your toes. Oh my gosh. Let's see, we get 99% ineffective surgical ones until they run out. Then we get 100% ineffective cloth one. Okay, then states take our temp now too with defective thermometers. That's amazing. And that's totally what I want, is someone who's been putting something into someone else's. Well, I'm sure it's probably
Next.
on there. Yeah, they probably
It's a
do it on the
forehead
head.
thing, yeah.
But still, it's still close enough.
Everybody's touching each other. Getting
Yeah.
really intimate.
Yeah, like you were just really close to this person.
It's like the TSA took over the whole country. It's like
Wow, what?
it's
Yeah.
just a big,
Mess.
inept security theater.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing or what they should be doing, but they're doing something, because if they don't do something, then people are going to get upset because they didn't do anything.
Real mad. You didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
And you know what? One time I didn't even think about it. Not been a fan of the TSA anyway, but Dave was like, do you ever realize that they do just take that bottle that's a bomb and throw it in the garbage right behind them? And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, that just
memes.
adds even more to the rage. Oh, okay, Aaron, you're the only essential employee in government. Yes. And your job is very important. Yep.
Oh, look at the time already. I'm going to start connecting with this guy.
Absolutely. Already 9:46. Yeah. No, wait. This one goes in your mouth. This one goes in your mouth.
Idiocracy?
Let's watch that again.
I'll go the other way around.
Oh, man. Do you kind of feel like, have you all seen Idiocracy? Do you feel like that's kind of, I thought it was so far-fetched. Like, how so far-fetched? But now, no. Nope, not. Yes, and that's what I think a lot of the people are screaming about, you know, like, people are going to die if you don't do something. But really what they're doing is just creating more panic by shutting things down. And you have a choice to stay
Destroying
home.
the economy.
Yeah, you have the choice to stay home. I mean, I know it sucks if you have to go to work because you have to make money, which everybody does. So, but like, you can still take your own precautions, you know? You can.
That's what I said. A good media campaign. The people in Washington could have got their Hollywood friends come out on camera with like a
they come out
dopey
for
look on their
everything
face
anyway,
and say,
you know? Yeah.
"This is really serious, guys.
gotta look
If you have pre-existing conditions, you really shouldn't leave your house." And then everybody will be like, "Okay, I'm not going to leave my house because
Right.
I have a pre-existing condition." Meanwhile, everybody who's healthy is going to be like, okay, well, let's go out and
Yeah.
tackle
And
this.
that's the thing that when
what
the
they
celebrities
crave,
come
Jenny.
out, you know,
People
they
listen.
say they do, and it's a weird world that we live in. You know that they're what was it, Sean Penn? They were asking for his opinion on like
On the
I'm sorry,
coronavirus
what
reaction.
did he go to college to be a doctor? Yeah, but I think that what they should have done was something different. Let people know, the truth and how to take care of themselves. Obviously, if people haven't been washing their hands up to this point, I am grossed out,
Yeah.
disgusted.
Like that was a new concept for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
everyone's like, "Oh, we wash your hands?" Like, what?
Now I tell you what, I didn't care. I washed my hands and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I touched stuff in public because you got to have a
Oh,
certain
yeah,
amount
sure,
of
absolutely,
germs and
yep.
stuff to keep you strong.
Yeah. And I'm a face toucher. I touch Dave's face all the time now. I touch my own face like a lot. I do it all the time.
Strangers.
Hey, Harry. But when I'd be out, I
Pretend
would
she's
just,
blind.
Like, let me see. My mom did that once in a store. She was with her friend, and now my mom, she's just very quiet. You wouldn't expect her to do this. But she was with a friend of hers when they were younger, and she just started shouting out the girl's name and said, "I can't see, I'm blind. Where are you?"
Your mom
Where'd you
did that?
go?" Yeah, like,
You did that to me once, but you were having a panic attack.
no, I was actually fainting. Like, I was actually like fainting. I don't know what it was from. It was I don't know. I was young. I was probably doing some weird things. So, but I do remember that day. So, okay, 100 messages already on the Restream chat.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. I think Aaron wants to be a top fan, and Facebook is not letting
No,
him.
we know that for a fact.
I think they want him to do more. I was joking.
You got to try harder. You just got to try
He
a little bit
comments like
harder.
130
You got to be like
comments.
right there.
And I'm just like, why can't he get all 100 messages are for me, right?
Yeah, I get analytics from
Okay,
Restream,
Juan,
which
I
we
hope it
stream
works
all
soon.
these on, and yeah, he's right around 100 comments a stream.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he comments on all of our posts and everything. And
Oh my
Facebook is
gosh.
for some reason blacklisting him.
It is. It's a sad thing. Kirk says that 23,908 senior citizens have starved since Costco stopped free samples. And, like, I giggle because there was a free sample lady where I used to work. We called her the free sample lady because she would just walk through the mall,
Really?
And she would just take the whole plate and not
No
care.
kidding.
Like, she did not even care
Live
ever.
boldly.
Live boldly. And then my mom was going to the chiropractor one time and she's like, I think that's that free sample lady. I saw her at the chiropractor's office. I'm like, well, she's probably taking all the magazines and everything else there.
All the sample salves and
Yes.
lotions.
All the biofreeze. Oh gosh. Hi Justine, what's going on? Hoping to find a place to buy some gin here in PA.
Oh, what's that place
yeah.
I was at? It's over by Domino's on Peninsula. There's a distillery there.
On 12th and Peninsula.
In
There's
that
a
same
distillery.
plaza
Yep.
that Domino's is on 12th and
I know, we can't
Peninsula.
even online order.
There's a distillery in there, and they're still open, and they're selling.
Dave drove to New York the
Yeah,
other day.
I drove to New York and
Yeah.
spent like
What-
$200.
Westfield or something. There was a little, yeah. And I mean, I messaged too. I'm like, you guys will sell to somebody out of state, right? Because he's driving like an hour to get there. So,
And hi.
hello.
All right, you know what? I'm just gonna try ringing him.
Yeah, go
'cause
for it. Go for it.
And if he comes in,
You are Aaron. Well, no, I mean, free. I don't know. They don't leave the biofreeze out anymore at the doctor's office. They used to at the one I worked at, the chiropractor. He would have some out in the waiting room. So, oh, there you go. Luminary, is that what it is?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, hi. I didn't even hear the ring.
Yeah, because I had that muted.
Oh my
me-
gosh.
Fix that real quick.
Hey Jason, what's up? Hi.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the ring at all,
No,
and then your voice
And he's
popped
actually
up.
not
so.
on. You're not on yet, but
Okay, all right, I'm cool with
are
that.
you ready to
Yeah, let's do
introduce?
this. Let's do this. Guys, tonight, I know we talked about him before, but we have Judge Jim Gray on the show tonight, and we're happy to have you here. Thank you for spending the evening with us. Oh, Dave
Why is
pushed a
that not
button.
working?
Okay, hold on. There we go. Can I hear you?
People have been trying to mute me forever, but push the right button and you got me.
Nice, nice. I like doing this because I have a captive audience, so I can just talk to people. So I'm Mary. I know you've been connected with Dave. You guys have been talking about, how to do the, technology stuff here. But I wanted to ask you, I enjoy hearing people's stories about coming to Liberty and how you became Libertarian. Was this something that you grew up with in your home, or something you found along the way?
I was a lifelong Republican, never really thought about it particularly. I ran for Congress in 1998 as a Republican, but the passage of the so-called Patriot Act just did me in. And I could not be a part of any group that would condone, much less assist, this direct frontal attack on our civil liberties.
Yeah.
So I left the Republican Party. And I still remember, Mary, it took me literally 13 seconds to decide I really am a libertarian and I will be for life. And that was my transition.
That's great.
Nice, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that was
we were
a big
after
moment for a lot of people. Yeah. 9/11 happened and everything, and we were still like, the deep status, like, oh yeah, this is.
Mary, I understand that the so-called Patriot Act was actually on the shelf prior to 9/11, but they used that opportunity of this disaster to, in effect, put in what the neocons wanted to do. This is disgusting, but fear works.
Yep.
Fear works, and that's what we're still seeing today.
And
let me go a little bit farther. You haven't asked me this, but I have written a musical. It's called Convention, The Birth of America, and it deals with the Constitutional Convention back in 1787. So I'm into the founders, and I don't call them founding fathers because they were women as well. But all 55 delegates, they bickered, they debated, they argued, but the thing that they all agreed upon was the most important function of government is protecting our freedoms and our liberties from the encroachment of government. Number two issue was keeping us safe. And boy, have we gotten away from that. And I think our founders would take up arms against what we have done since that time. We have despoiled what their plans were for our country, and it's only the Libertarian Party that will bring this back.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. I feel that too, because we have come so far from what they talked about, and especially right now. And you said about fear driving and like a crisis, government tends to just overreach at that point because everyone's
burn
scared
the Constitution
and asking for help. What are your thoughts on how the government is dealing with this, coronavirus, and how they're quarantining people, requiring things?
Let me start at the beginning on that, because our federal government flat out has failed us. There aren't lots of functions for the federal government, and they've usurped some, but one of the legitimate functions of the federal government is to plan for emergencies. I don't know, earthquakes, hurricanes, pandemics. We don't know what to do. It's their obligation.
I think it's this.
Candidate for president. Maybe.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm sorry, the audio started to. Are you gonna go turn it off?
I'm gonna turn it off right
Okay. Oh, nice. Our studio's right next to our furnace, so there you go. Dave just shut the furnace off. Who needs heat?
I'm starting to get cold now, but that's okay.
Okay.
But at any rate, and Ken Armstrong, and I applaud him for this. Maybe unusual in a campaign for nominations, but he was in charge of the emergency services, emergency preparation at the Port of Los Angeles in the early 1970s, and he had plans in effect. He had evacuation if necessary, he had medical issues, he had emergency help, he had all kinds of fire. They were prepared. Then, by the way, they had an earthquake about 3 years later, and it all worked. Where was the federal government in planning for this? Flat out unprepared. And then once we had this problem, and it's a serious problem, then they overdid it. First of all, the president does not have the ability under the Constitution to shut down anything unless he declares martial law, which didn't happen. So he does not have that authority, but let's put that aside for a minute. But politicians go for a different standard. They're not held responsible for economic damages. What they do is protect themselves. They protect themselves, Mary. And that means that if I take all of these extra issues to protect your health,
Yes.
so if you don't get sick, I'm a hero. Oh, my issues took care of you. And if you do get sick, I have protections. I took all these issues to keep you safe, so it's not my fault. In the meantime, economy, businesses, jobs was not even a part of the ability. It wasn't even a part of the equation. Libertarians would have included that as well, saying, wait a minute, let's include that as well. And if we have some businesses that are not, not dispensable, they're not dispensable, they're not indispensable, I mean, and so they're closed down. And we had someone here in Southern California who sells mattresses, and he was complaining legitimately that I'm closed down, I'm not dispensable, but Costco, this big box store, they are dispensable. So if the customers want to go there and buy a mattress, they can. So the government is closing me down and assisting my competitors. There's something the matter with that. So the answer, as we libertarians know, wait a minute, keep these businesses open and they can advertise. Like, by the way, in this morning's newspaper, I saw a heating and air conditioning company advertising, oh, we're not indispensable. We can actually take business, and we're going to protect you. We have disinfected our store. We do it every 3 hours. We're going to have a 10-foot distancing. We're going to protect our employees. We're going to protect you as our customers. We're going to only have 10 people in the store at a time. Please come and join us. And then we, as the adult customers, can make a decision. Yes. I'm 84 years old and I have pneumonia. I'm not going to go in there. But if I'm healthy, I will take my chances. That will keep, at least a third of 40% of these companies open. Not even a part of the discussion. Shame on them, because we're going to visit a great deal of grief and harm upon our country. 30 million people out of work. It's it's the government, federal and state. Wrong.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have no opinion on this issue whatsoever.
Other than I love that, though, because that is a big concern that I didn't even think about when it first kind of came to America and was being looked at. It was just, okay, let's just try to protect ourselves, and because it is super contagious and whatever. And then one day it was like, oh, schools are shut down. We homeschool anyway, so that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
But and then there was other things were closing, non-essential businesses, and I don't know. It has just, I feel like it's gotten scarier, what they're doing and how they're reacting.
It's just arbitrary. Your business is dispensable. Your business isn't. My crony, oh no, they're indispensable. They can stay open. But then you get into this. Are you kidding me? $2.2 trillion bailout. Okay, and a part of that is all of this other stuff. The Kennedy Center, the theater, received $15 million from this bailout. And why? And they were questioned. Oh, because they've been harmed. Of course they have been. How about all the other theaters in the country? No, they're not getting anything. Arbitrary. It's wrong.
Yeah, picking and choosing winners. All their pet projects and their pork got into that bill.
All kinds. It was. It's disgusting.
But we got $1,200.
them Trump bucks.
How much is that really going to help? We in California had the governor say, okay, the tenants will get a 90-day grace period. They won't have to pay rent. But at the end of that, then they'll have to pay back all of the prior rent. They're going to never be able to, a lot of people never be able to dig their way out of that. I was the chair of the World Affairs Council in Orange County here. And so we had this problem. Our rent lease was coming up. So I contacted the owner, the landlord, and said, look, we don't want to move out, but we're going to have to because we've been closed down. We can't have our events. We're not earning any money. But instead, if you will reduce your rent from $2,300 a month to $1,000 a month for the next 8 months, we'll stay. So the landlord decided, 40% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So we worked that out. So we're all kind of sharing the problem here. There's no bad guys. It's all a problem. But if you have the government intrude into that system and say, oh, you're forgiven for, or not forgiven, but delayed for 3 months, you're causing havoc. And if you say to the landlord, you're not going to receive the rent, you're going to have a lot of small landlords, mom and pop landlords, that need that money in order for their own survival, in order to pay their mortgages. The government is intruding. Now, it sounds good. Oh, poor baby, we'll take care of you. But that's where the government fails us. Mommy government should not intrude into the marketplace. Let the people negotiate. And if you're a landlord, you don't want to lose your tenants. You know, you understand there's problems. But if you're a good tenant, you know, Mary, David, you know, I don't want to chase you out. I'll work it out with you. But the government intruding is a mistake, and it's visited upon us, and we're going to really, really suffer because of it.
It's all. I was reading a comment here, and it, well, it's hard to read and listen, but I was listening to you too. But I want to say, in this, Justine mentioned too about people not being able to buy like plants, gardening supplies, things like that. That they're limiting what, you know, because they're trying to tell us what is considered essential now, not just with the local businesses that were, you know, but now inside the stores, there's actually like, well, you can't.
They're blocking off
they're
aisles.
blocking off aisles because seeds aren't essential. You know, what if your kid went through a growth spurt and they need new clothes? You know, like it's not like you're just out shopping and, you know, perusing the aisles, but I don't know. It's really, it's a scary place that we are. Where do you think this is going to go from here? I mean, and a lot of people are already like, yay, thank you for limiting what we're allowed to purchase. And, you know, it's gross is what it is.
I have I'm admiring a person. His name is Jim Doty. And he is, as I've told publicly, probably the most successful person I know, because he took a sleepy Chapman College into a vibrant Chapman University. He was the president of Chapman University here in Southern California for numbers of years. And he said when he was in college, at university, it was in Chicago, they had a huge snowstorm. And so he opened his apartment door and it was full of snow. He had to dig himself out and finally went into a deli. And the deli had no food because everybody had hoarded. They had taken all of the stuff to hoard it. So he went to another deli and they had doubled their prices. And he was thinking, wow, they're gouging. That's not any good. So then he went out and they thought, well, at least if they're changing the prices, I'm going to go back there, but I'm going to only buy what I need. Instead of buying it at the normal prices, I will only buy what I need. So, of course, he was in college. He bought a bunch of Snickers candy bars and Coca-Colas and all of these essentials, of course. But he told that story. If you allow the free market to rule, to do what they're going to do, yes, the prices will be increased because of the scarcity, but at least there'll be product available for people and they'll be able to buy it. It naturally works out the hoarding problem, and it works. Mm-hmm. So we got to get the government away from the market. The government has no business in the market. Trump is recently, as you've seen, trying to negotiate with Saudi Arabia and Iran and stuff about oil prices. No! Let the free market take care of the oil prices. They can't. That's not a business of government. I think I probably convinced you on that.
Yeah, you sold it.
Yeah,
sold
absolutely. So how do we get the government out of our business? You know, what is step one through
Mary,
whatever?
Mary, that's pretty straightforward. That's probably the easiest question you're going to ask me this evening, and that is vote Libertarian. Put in someone who is a third voice, a Libertarian, into the presidency, into Congress, and we will be able to discuss these issues directly. I say, and I mean it, we Libertarians have made a major mistake for the last number of decades because we have allowed other people to brand us. And we're branded as greed is good. You know, thank you, Ayn Rand, where she said that, but she meant it in her novels. Act in your own economic self-interest, and we all do, and that will, in effect, result in the invisible hand, and we'll all do well.
Yeah.
Or libertarians are considered to be survival of the fittest, or no government at all, or, you know, that sort of stuff. and it's simply wrong. I was in the Peace Corps. I care about people, and I'm not a doctrinaire. I'm a pragmatist, but I can tell you the libertarian addressing works. That's why I'm here, because the libertarian approaches work. Responsibility of all things in life. Imagine responsibility to care about other people, to treat them equally, live and let live. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on anybody. I mean, that's our philosophy, and it works. To take it a little further, we are sending our troops, and I was in the military, and in fact, I have a new in-law who is he's now the father of my daughter-in-law. He was a retired Marine Corps colonel. I just love the Marines. If they are told, given orders, you go into such and such a battlefield, what do they say? They salute and say, yes, sir. We have an absolute obligation to make sure that when we send them into battle zones, that it is necessary for the protection of our economic, of our social interests, of our security, of our national interests. And we have failed them.
Yeah.
We have failed them. What is our goal in Afghanistan today? We've been there for 19 years. What's our goal? What are we trying to accomplish? We don't know, and our troops are suffering because of that. And then they come back to our country, with PTSD. We used to call it shell shock, and it's an absolute breach of contract for our veterans who are suffering from PTSD or whatever because of where they were in Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever, and now we're not treating them. Yes, if they lost a limb, that's pretty easy. You can see the loss of limb, and we're doing pretty well with them. But the people that have had traumatic injuries, they are, I would say 30% of the homeless in our country today are vets, and shame on us. We owe them that. So vote Libertarian. That's my answer.
There you go. We love who you picked as your running mate for...
And make less,
Oh,
vets.
sorry. I wanted to just say we're excited about you. You're on the ticket and with Larry because we love Larry. But go ahead, Dave. Say what you want to say.
Oh yeah. Make less injured vets coming home and just quit sending them over there.
Yeah. So, stop sending them.
There's cost. There is a cost to war, and we can see it up front. Then there's that lingering cost thereafter of these troops that were harmed because of that, and we owe them everything we've got. And by the way, I only entered into this race because Larry Sharpe agreed to be my running mate. That pushed me into this. I cannot think of a better running mate. I don't mean to disparage you guys, Mary or David, but Larry Sharpe is a wonderful man, articulate, strong. I'm proud to have him be on my team.
I was shocked when I read it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that he had even considered this.
Yeah.
But I think it was you coming to him that he just said, let's get it done.
He didn't consider it. I didn't consider it either. Do you know my story? Do you know how it happened?
Would you share that with us? Would you let everybody know?
I was supporting Governor Lincoln Chafee, the former mayor in Rhode Island, Republican senator in Rhode Island. By the way, the only Republican senator to vote against going into Iraq, which gave him a lot of credentials in my view, and then a governor of Rhode Island. So he had the background. I interviewed him on my podcast, which, by the way, I'll put in a plug for myself, but it's on the Voice America Network, and it's All Rise, the Libertarian Way with Judge Jim Gray. And I've interviewed him on there. I actually interviewed others running for president as well, Jacob Hornsberger and Joy Jacobson, as well as Ken Armstrong. So that was all before I knew I was running. But when I was on a telephone conference call with him about 2 weeks ago, and I was supporting him, and his staff was on there as well. And Governor Chafee said in a very down voice, I'm going to withdraw from the competition, from the election, and in 2 hours I'm going to tell the Wyoming delegation that I'm withdrawing from the race. And I pleaded with him, literally, saying, Governor, don't do this. This is something that you need from a loyalty standpoint to our party, to our country. You're the right person. You've got the credentials. You can bring us home. And he said twice, Judge Gray, I have made my decision, in a very flat voice. So he hung up, and then the staff there said, well, Judge Gray, would you take his place? And I said, no, but they pleaded with me. And I said, all right, well, look, give me 2 or 3 days. I will talk to people. I'll mull it over. And then I called various people around the country, and they were supportive. In fact, some were very enthusiastic about doing this. And finally, then I was talking to Larry Sharpe, and he was enthusiastic. And I said, all right, put your money where your mouth is, in effect. Larry, if you will be my running mate, I will do it. I will throw my hat in the ring. He said, quote, yes, yes, yes. And then he said he needed to take 3 or 4 days to make some financial arrangements for his family. Came back, said he would do it, and that did the deed. I'm proud of running with Larry Sharpe, and I think we're going to do you proud. I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm proud of what we're going to do, but we certainly need some help.
That's amazing. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm excited. I really didn't expect to see him out on the trail, again. I know we have some fans here who live in New York, and they wish that he had won.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially now.
Larry wasn't expecting it either. Neither was I. But we're a good team, and we've got a good team assembled. We've got a campaign manager. We now have a treasurer. We filed today. We're on board. And do you want me to give you some breaking news?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
please.
Should I do the video?
Today is Friday. Just recently, I received today a call from Justin Amash, the congressman from Michigan,
Yeah.
and he tells me that he's forming an exploratory committee and is with the eye to running for president as a Libertarian. And what was my response? I welcomed him. I said, look, he seems like a really decent guy. I said, Congressman, you have stood up tall. You have stood up against what you feel is going wrong in the world, both Republican and Democrat, and you've taken positions, and I'm proud to have you be with us. And I will support whoever is the Libertarian candidate, he said, and I told him the same. I will support whatever Libertarian candidate is nominated, and we're going to, if he is in the election, we'll get a lot more attention, we'll get a lot more discussion on our issues, and all of this is a good thing. And you know something? I'm a Libertarian. So are you folks. We believe in competition. So I would welcome Justin Amash into the election. And he very well is going to come. Wonderful. There's going to be a debate, I guess, in Alaska pretty soon. I gave him the phone number to call to be a part of it. Now you know.
Great. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. I mean, there's a lot of really good people, like in that.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. The
crew
whole iron
there,
sharpens iron thing. It's going to be really good.
Yep. Now, how are things going to go in the future with like debates and stuff? I mean, is everything just going to be done online, virtually, like, how we're talking here?
The Alaska debate I think it's going to be, I'm not sure, but it'll probably be on Zoom, something like that, where it seemed to be Zooming all over the world. Even the convention for May, I don't know. I don't have any particular information, but the odds are probably becoming stronger that there will be a virtual convention out of Austin. Okay? And it's a trade-off. I would prefer, we have a guy named Jeff Hewitt who has been elected here in Riverside County in California as a Libertarian to the Board of Supervisors. Good man. In fact, the guy that ran his campaign, successful campaign, is now running mine. But he thinks we should join up with Freedom Fest in Las Vegas in July and kind of have it at the same time, which has many attractive features. We'd have John Stossel wander over and that sort of stuff. But we would lose ballot access, or at least we'd have to file lawsuits to get into ballot access, I think, in like 4 states, and that's a problem. So it's a trade-off. So we'll let the powers that be decide one way or the other. It's just hard. But this whole pandemic has just inflicted a lot of pain on everybody. One way or the other, we will band together, we will talk, we will dispute, we will debate, and then we will vote, and then we will all join with the nominee and work for that success.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, man, it'd be awesome to see somebody other than a Republican or Democrat get elected. I would really love
at least get on the stage.
To see. Yeah. It's to get more attention for what really matters.
And when I ran as vice president with Governor Gary Johnson in 2012, and we were excluded from the presidential debates. Got to tell you, as a practical matter, if you're not in the debates, you're not considered to be viable. And that's a huge problem. Un-American, too, by the way, but nonetheless. So we brought a lawsuit to call it antitrust and duopoly and the rest of that stuff, and we lost. We lost. We're going to have to try right away to be a part of these debates. And never in our country, well, never, but our country needs a third voice. You know, we have more polarization today than we've ever had in my lifetime, and we need a third voice to be there. And Nick Sarwark, who you know, the outgoing chair of the Libertarian National Committee, ran for mayor in Phoenix this last election. And he told me, in fact, I had him on my show at Judge Jim, All Rise, the Libertarian Way with Judge Jim Gray, trying to use the word libertarian all the time. But he was on our show, and he said, you know, they had numbers of debates when he was running for mayor of Phoenix, but the last one he had a prior commitment. And then his followers went to that and said, Nick, it was a totally different debate when you weren't there, because the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate didn't want to discuss issues, and they didn't have to if you weren't there. When you were there, you'd make them discuss, you know, failing schools and the deficits and the rest. But when you weren't there, they didn't have to discuss it. We need that third voice in this upcoming debate, and it will make a huge difference. So let's get on board and take care of that.
How? I'm sorry. Do you want to answer Brian's question?
Oh,
go ahead.
Well, he's very adamant to get your input on agorism and black markets and how you feel about things that are happening, you know, without the government being involved, like you know, voluntary transactions and whatnot.
Okay, you said a word I didn't understand. Agorism? What is that?
Oh, that's basically the same thing as just bartering, trading, and you know, cash transaction stuff like that.
People should be able to negotiate, to be able to form contracts, and that's fine. When you exclude something, and you probably know my background, that I was a military JAG officer, criminal defense attorney in the Navy, then I was a federal prosecutor in Los Angeles, and then I was a state court judge for 25 years. And in 1992, I'd been on the bench for about 9 years. I held a press conference, which is somewhat unusual for a sitting trial court judge, and stated my strong opinion that our nation's policy of drug prohibition was not working. We had to repeal it. We couldn't do worse if we tried. So, you know, I look at California, which is pretty much my area. Marijuana has been the largest cash crop in the state of California for decades. Mm-hmm. And number 2 is grapes, by the way. And of course, we tout all of our wineries, but we do the grapes. So one way or the other, the marijuana is going to be here. Salute, by the way, Mary, good for you. And so if you're either going to have marijuana legal or illegal, and so it is much better to have it regulated and controlled and under the control of the government. Ask any teenager, what is easier for you to get if you want to, marijuana or alcohol? And each last one of them will tell you it's easier to get marijuana because the drug dealers don't ask for ID.
Yeah, they don't charge you.
The biggest oxymoron I can think of in our world today is the term controlled substances, because as soon as you prohibit a substance, you give up all of the control to the bad guys. You know, quality control, a huge issue, and age restrictions and place of sale, time of sale, all of that sort of stuff, you give up to the Mexican drug cartels, the juvenile street gangs, and the rest of this stuff. So let's regulate and control it and bring it under the market. So I still remember I was on the bench in the municipal court sentencing at different times 2 young men for being under the influence of methamphetamine. And still in California, it is a violation of Health and Safety Code 11550, and it's a mandatory minimum sentence of 90 days in jail if you're found to be under the influence of methamphetamines or opiates or whatever. So before they can plead guilty, and for reasons I don't need to go into, they had no reason to lie to me. But before they plead guilty in California and pretty much every other state, they have to give us what we call a factual basis. They have to put it in their own words why they're guilty of the offense. And each of these 2 at different times told me, Your Honor, I was using marijuana. I would buy the marijuana from the same source, and one day, unbeknownst to me, he sold me some marijuana laced with methamphetamines. I smoked it a few times and got hooked. And I still remember thinking to myself, I'm up on the bench, thinking to myself, wait a minute. We all know smoking cigarettes is hazardous to your health, David. I saw you smoking, but it's hazardous to your health. At least when you go to your local mini mart and buy a pack of Marlboros, you're going to know it's not laced with methamphetamines. That's a drug prohibition problem.
That's a plus,
And that it pushed me over. That's why I really had to mention this, because if you go back to alcohol prohibition, before the Volstead Act and stuff, people were getting this white lightning. It was attacking their nervous system. They were dying because of the impurities in the alcohol. As soon as alcohol prohibition was repealed, that problem went away. And it's the same deal here. Fentanyl, that's a killer. That is an artificial heroin, and it is dangerous stuff. If I understand it, this isn't my field, but I understand it. If you get just one of these sugar packets, like you go to a restaurant and get a packet of sugar, if you have that much fentanyl, it'll kill 100 people. I mean, it's bad stuff. Mm-hmm. Holland, that doesn't have drug prohibition, they have no fentanyl there because the costs are more controlled. So these are all problems that are inflicted upon us by drug prohibition. Vote Libertarian. We should take a bow with regard at least to marijuana as well as the rest of these offenses, because we're finally coming to our senses.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say too, Dave here in the comments just said this. If I want, I should be able to buy my meth and marijuana separately at the mini mart.
So that's the thing. Like we're more on that anarchist slope. So it's like not so much government regulation, but private industry regulation. If it has the seal of approval on it,
private industry regulation
of a group that we trust, then I might buy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, buy it at Walmart. You know what's in it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So quality control is huge. Mm-hmm. You want to go back to, it was 1905, the Federal Pure Food and Drug Act, the most successful drug law in the history of our country, did not prohibit anything. All it did was require truth in advertising, truth in labeling. Now, at that time, if you look back on it, I've written a book on this, so I investigated it. It's called Why Our Drug Laws Have Failed and What We Can Do About It, a judicial indictment of the war on drugs, and I'm proud of it. By the way, it was endorsed by Milton Friedman, by Walter Cronkite, by George Shultz, by Governor Gary Johnson, who was then the governor of New Mexico, by Arianna Huffington, and by Mayor Kurt Schmoke from Baltimore. At least take away the plug. But at any rate, what happened at that point, there were two classes of people in our country that were drug addicted generally. And one was Civil War soldiers from the North, which was basically they'd gotten some form of injuries, they'd lost amputation, whatever, and then they gave them opiates for their pain. They got addicted to it, so they literally called drug addiction the soldier's disease. But you know what the second group of people was that were addicted back then? You'll never guess unless you know. Midwest agrarian housewives. Why? Because you had all of these Uncle Billy's snake oils and all this stuff coming through town, and it'd cure whatever, it'd make you feel better no matter what. And it would temporarily, because it was 50% cocaine. So when you got to the Federal Pure Food and Drug Act in 1905, it required truth in advertising. That was all. So people would see this 50% cocaine, I'm not going to take this stuff, and it totally did away with the argument. So that's what the federal government position should be: require truth in advertising, truth in labeling, and like you say, let the customer decide.
Yeah,
that's where I am.
I mean, if a product injures you, you have the right. You should have the right to, go after them. Which in the black market setting, are you going to go to your lawyer and be like, "This guy sold me some bad heroin"? Do we have a?
No. What you do then is you take a 6-gun to the streets and you shoot it out.
Yep.
That's what happened in alcohol prohibition. Mm-hmm. You cannot. It's against public policy. If it's an illegal contract, you cannot use the court system, and it is illegal for you to sell cocaine to someone else. So the only remedy you have is viciousness. Is having my gang shoot out your gang.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Just talk it out.
like these whole Mexican cartels and everything like that. It's like, and we want to go to war with them. We could solve the problem, and we're slowly doing it. Mm-hmm. by the legalization of medicinal and recreational and stuff. It's hurting them.
Yeah. It's a weird...
When I held my press conference in 1992, I guaranteed to anyone that would listen, by the year 2000, we will have a materially different drug policy in our country, because it's so obvious what we're doing isn't working. Mm-hmm. And boy, was I wrong about this one. We're now 2020, and look at us. We're making some progress, but it's been abysmal.
Yeah.
Gary Johnson came up with this, and I agreed with him, that of all the drug problems in our country, about 10% are caused by the drugs themselves. Drug addiction is a bad thing and the rest of this, but 90% of the problems are caused by drug money. And he's absolutely right. I wrote an article about who are the 6 main groups of people that are winning because of the war on drugs. And if you want, I'll go through all 6. And the first is pretty straightforwardly. Got your little feedback.
Just a smidge.
If I say something really important, it rebounds again, so it says twice, and that's good. But okay, so the first group of people that are winning are obviously the Mexican drug cartels. They're making billions of dollars a year, tax-free, and they're laughing at us. Number 2 group of people that are winning are the juvenile street gangs. And by the way, I see this in juvenile court all the time. Juvenile street gangs are using this as a recruiting tool. Hey, you want to make some money? Come and join our gang and sell some drugs. Not a good thing. Number 3 group of people that are winning are the police. It's amazing. They're getting more and more resources to fight against the first 2 groups. It's an amazing partnership, in effect, between the good guys and the bad guys. Now, let me quickly say, I'm not pointing the finger at the police and saying you failed us. That's just not true.
It's just the way the system
that's
is.
like kind of saying, yes, it is. But they're getting bigger arrests, longer prison sentences, bigger seizures, but we're still worse off. They're getting more and more money to do this. They're winning. The 4th group of people are the politicians that vote for this tough war on, tough on crime stuff, and we keep voting for them. Shame on us, but they're winning. 5th group of people are the private sector, people that make money because of increased crime. What would that be? Burglar alarm equipment, security services, prison guards unions, that sort of thing. And now hold on to your hat. Oh, you're not wearing hats, but hold on to your hair, as my grandfather used to say. You know what? The 6th group of people that are winning, there you go. The terrorists of the world. Most terrorist organizations around the world, Osama bin Laden on down, make most of their financing, most of their money from the sale of illegal drugs. It is not a good thing to see. Who is losing? Pretty much everybody else, particularly our children, because they are looped into this stuff, and it's an abomination. So when I speak with Kiwanis clubs and exchange clubs and religious groups, I will look them in the eye and say, drug prohibition is the biggest failed policy in the history of our country, second only to slavery, and I mean it. And then I'll ask them, you tell me what's important to you. Conservation, education, healthcare, I don't care. Whatever it is, I will show you to your satisfaction how it is made worse because of the policy of drug prohibition.
Yeah.
Vote Libertarian.
Vote Libertarian.
Now, we usually don't ask a lot of hard-hitting questions here. It's usually pretty laid back. But I do have a question about just your philosophy in general. You did come out real early and real hard against drug prohibition. Now, is that based on just the failed logic of how it's working in our society, or do you adhere to what a lot of people say as no victim, no crime? That if you're not hurting anybody, then it can't be a crime?
The answer to your question is yes. Candidly, I'm a pragmatist. I want to employ things that work. I believe in Milton Friedman, who's one of my true heroes, who said we should judge our programs by the results, not their good intentions. So, it's nice to be a purist, but in this case, it coincides that, my goodness, it makes as much sense to me to put that gifted actor Robert Downey Jr. in jail for his heroin problem, and he's had a pretty much lifelong problem with it. He's making pretty good movies now and the rest, but he has to be careful. He'll have that craving. He has to keep it under control. But it makes as much sense to me to put Robert Downey Jr. in jail for his heroin problem as it would have Betty Ford in jail for her alcohol problem.
Yeah.
Really, it's the same thing. It's a medical issue. Bring them closer to medical professionals that can help them instead of labeling automatic criminals and pushing them farther away. But if Robert Downey Jr., Betty Ford, you or I drive a motor vehicle impaired by, you name it, methamphetamine, marijuana, alcohol, which is my drug of choice, that's a crime. Critically important. What's the difference? What's the difference? Okay, don't drive. What's the difference? Now, by your actions, you're putting our safety at risk. Legitimate criminal justice issue. So the philosophy and the practicality join. They're the same. And when it comes down to it, and I'll tell you this with philosophy and with practicality, when the government has as much right to control what I as an adult put into my body as it does what I put into my mind. It's none of their business.
Yes.
Simply flat out none of their business.
Amen.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and when we're in a lot of libertarian groups, you know, our Liberty Memes community and stuff like that. And when you get into the question of like drunk driving and stuff like that, that is a gray area, and that is claws out. So I'm just gonna let that one go.
I know. I was like, don't ask.
I'm a gray area also, but I do believe, and when I was on the municipal court, within the first 6 months, this was rather unusual. I was appointed to the municipal court at the end of 1983, and I saw that the biggest issue that was unmet in the criminal justice system in our courts were driving under the influence, were DUIs. And so within 6 months, I had up and running probably the first drug court in the country, because, you know, you would see times in which someone got drunk, went across the road and ran into and killed somebody. And you say, why doesn't someone do something? Because back then, we'd look at these drunk drivers, we'd say, don't do that again. We'd snarl at them, we'd take their money and put them in an educational class for 6 weeks, and it didn't help. Because if they were alcoholic, they would go back and do it again. So why doesn't someone do something? Who better than me as a conservative judge in a conservative county? And we formed the first drug court in the country. And I was able to keep 65% of the alcoholics off alcohol for 6 months. And I would receive letters. One of them I still remember and I treasure. Dear Judge Gray, I was going to divorce my husband. He'd get drunk, he'd hit me, he'd be irresponsible with my children. But now that he's off alcohol, you've given me my husband back. Thank you. You know, that's the sort of thing that the government really can do, because you intercede with problem drinkers and you're helping them and you're keeping people alive. You're keeping them from going out and killing other people. That, and I stand on that, and I don't care my philosophy. This works, and I'm proud of it.
That's fine.
Good for you. Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we were talking about drugs and stuff, you know, what is illegal, not just shoving somebody into prison and saying you're a criminal now and you have to do this amount of time, and not giving them any kind of help in any kind of way. They're already doing something that is against the law.
Yeah.
So how are they to seek help for this without?
Yeah, treat it more as a medical problem. And I think, like, when you do damage or hurt something or someone while under the influence, go ahead and add like an extra level of you messed up. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's more than just locking somebody in a cage and just saying you messed up and then you'll be out in a year.
Let me tell you something I'm proud of. I have helped an organization. It's called Open Gate International, and bless them forever. They actually teach people a skill. They teach them to be involved in the culinary arts, to be chefs, to be maitre d's, etc. And they take women that have been sexually traded. They take recovering drug dealers, drug dependents, and they also take felons, drug addicts. They take people that have been just released from prison, and they teach them in 12 weeks. They volunteer the class. It doesn't cost anything, and they teach them to be chefs. And bless them, about 70% of those people at the end of the 12 weeks have a job, and frequently a good job. And I thought to myself, because if you have a job, that will reduce recidivism by, like a third. It'll just reduce it a whole bunch. So if you have a job, you're much less likely to be a recidivist, to repeat offender. So I thought, wow, why wait for these people to be released from prison? So I took the owners of Open Gate, the managers, and I took them to Norco State Prison in California and think, wait a minute, why wait them to be released? Let's put the school inside the prison, which they're now starting to do. And so when they're released from prison, then they will have a job.
Yes.
Hooray. And that will address the real issue. That's what we can do in the prison system. But so many times, you go in there and you're drug addicted and you don't get any drug assistance, and you learn how to do your crimes better, by the way. It's a school for crime, and it just repeats itself. These are the things that government should do, and I have been accomplishing things of that kind.
What are your thoughts on the whole jail, system kind of thing? Because the numbers have increased
exponentially.
Yeah, over the years.
Land of the free and all that.
Do Okay, so but being a judge, I mean, I understand, like, you had to say, like, okay, I see that you committed this crime. Did you, and do you believe in if there is no victim, there is no crime?
I kind of went over that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, and how do you feel about the jail as a bit? It's almost like a business for a lot of people.
Take away the word almost, and you're right.
Okay, it is.
First of all, let me give you an irony. You go to New Hampshire, and you know the slogan for the state of New Hampshire? Live free or die.
Or die,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. No, that's on their license plates.
Mhm.
You know where the license plates are? In the prisons. That's a little irony that I can throw in.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody making the live free or die plates are
Not
in a
living
cage.
free.
Okay. So let me tell you one of the things that you're talking about. The United States of America has 5% of the world's population and 25% of its prisoners. And it was Jim Webb, who was a Democratic U.S. Senator from Virginia, now retired, but he was faced with that reality and said, quote, either we're the most criminally oriented people in the world or we're doing something wrong. Which do you think it is? And of course, I think we all know which it is. We are overly punitive, you know, and you take these various victimless crimes, David, like you're saying, you know, prostitution, for example. I was in the Peace Corps in Costa Rica. Peace Corps in Costa Rica for 2 years. I requested the smallest town in the country that had a high school, and they gave it to me. Palmar Norte, Costa Rica. And it had 2 houses of prostitution in it. On the other side of the river, they had the United Fruit Company, and so they had a fair amount of money. So, you know, prostitution is going to be there one way or the other. Either control it. You would have a doctor come through town every month to make sure that the women were healthy. You wouldn't have them out on the streets. You know, they wouldn't need pimps. It worked. It just worked. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, you can. I also found, by the way, when I was on the municipal court, I had a public defender tell me, you know, the best antidote for prostitution is having a job. So I agree with that. And in fact, I set up a system in which I would encourage them on probation to get a job, and they'd have to come back to me and show how they are trying to get a job. And numbers of times, they're almost all women, they would come back and say, you know, now I have a job, and I bring them in first. And they would say, you know, my life is so much better, that it was degrading for me to have to do this. One time I went actually back to prostitution and got physically sick to my stomach because of the degradation. Now that I have a job, I have my life back. But in the meantime, if they're going to do that, don't have them have to stand out at 2 o'clock in the morning in drizzling rain and be beaten up and the rest of that stuff. Regulate and control it. It is not and should not be a crime. It should not be a crime. It doesn't work.
That's right.
That's my belief.
I concur.
That's great. Yeah. Because that's their choice.
The more you allow things that are going to happen anyways, the safer it becomes.
Yeah.
For everybody involved.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
there's no question about. Yeah, it's a dangerous life to be a prostitute.
I'm sure.
You know, in fact, one of the things I'll tell you both. Why did I end up trying to speak out against our nation's drug policy? And the thing I remember, there was a really pretty bad guy. He was in custody. He was being charged with being with a prostitute, robbing her, beating her up, and stealing her money.
Yeah.
And so he was given a sentence with credit for time served. And I was still on municipal court. This wasn't my sentence. It was a Superior Court judge that employed the sentence that I was just administering. So I took the factual basis, I gave him the plea and stuff, and by the time he was done after credit for time served, he was going to serve another 2 weeks in jail and would be released. And so when he was taken back into lockup, he actually gave out a war whoop as if he had won. And you know something? He had. And the thing that went through my mind, we're using so many criminal justice resources, the police, the prosecutors, and the rest, on prosecuting nonviolent drug offenders. We're not using those resources to prosecute robbery, rape, and murder. And then I thought, and I started researching this, in 1980, Ronald Reagan's administration ratcheted up the war on drugs. And so I looked at the statistics in 1990, we were only half as successful in prosecuting homicides as we had been in 1980. Why? Because we were using all of these resources to prosecute nonviolent drug offenders. That's a mistake. So it's from a practical standpoint, you name it standpoint, Drug prohibition is the biggest failed policy in the history of our country, second to slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, because that was a big hang up for me when we first learned about, being like libertarian, and Dave went slippery sloping into anarchist like real fast, and I'm asking all these questions, and he's like, all the drugs should be legal because you should be allowed to pick, if you want to put it in your body or not, and find, like who you're going to buy it from. You should be allowed
Sure.
to just do what you want instead of having to go sneak down a back alley and get it from somebody who got it from somebody who got it from somebody.
And then if something goes wrong, you have no.
Yeah. And I was like, wait a second, but now I see, like, it's just that responsibility, like, that you take you make your own decisions because you are your own person, kind of thing.
Look back at alcohol prohibition, and we had this white lightning or whatever you'd call it, and just go to the emergency rooms and see all of the problems that people had. You had the impurities in the alcohol. It'd attack your nervous system, and it'd kill you or maim you or whatever. As soon as we repealed alcohol prohibition, brought back quality control, that problem went away. That's a huge issue, and it's the same we're facing today. But David, I see you're wearing a Ron Paul shirt. Good for you. And let me, there you go, wear it proudly. But one thing Ron Paul said, and I use his statistic, the United States at the moment, I believe, has something like 400 military reservations in other countries around the world. 400. In various types. Why don't we take an audit of those military reservations? And if they're necessary for our security, for protecting our national interest, fine, reinforce them. But I'll bet you after about 3/4 of an hour, we could look at least 300 of the 400 and close them. They're just not necessary anymore. Bring those troops home, and we'll probably even be more secure. I mean, that's Ron Paul. And I subscribe to it. I was in the military. I believe in a strong military. In fact, you go back to Thomas Jefferson, again, one of my heroes, who said, anyone that would beat their swords into their plowshares are soon going to be plowing for somebody else. And he's right. We need a strong military, and there are always going to be, Joseph Stalins around or Hitlers or whomever that are going to attack the weak. But we don't need these anymore. Times have changed. Let's bring these troops back. And I go on to say, I love New Zealand. What's he talking about now? Well, I love New Zealand. I love New Zealanders. But if they were to have a naval air station 10 miles away from my house, pretty soon I'd get tired of their planes flying overhead, and maybe some of their guys would get drunk. They're on Liberty and stuff. I'd start not liking New Zealanders quite so much. That's what's happened to us as well. Making ourselves less safe. We're making ourselves more of a burden. Close down these military reservations, bring our troops home.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you, Paul.
I have to ask this question. Christian Garrett Moore is in the comment section. He is a friend of ours and does a show called Liberty After Dark. And if you have him anytime, I'm sure he'd love to have you on. I love listening to him. He's smart. But he wants to know your thoughts on intellectual property.
I believe in patents. I believe in trademark. I believe if you're going to come up with a new product that is intellectual property, I've written 4 books and 2 musicals. I think that I should be able to profit from my labors. I don't think that other people should be able to take my work and profit from them. So I think intellectual property is important. That's where I really differ with China also, that they have stolen a lot of our intellectual property, and we need to bring them into the world because it's a property right, just the same thing as if I were to build a brick house, that should be mine. So I'm not sure that the focus of his question, but I believe in intellectual property rights.
I think you did a good job answering that.
You covered it.
You answered it perfect and I'm sure he'll maybe come in and
he's
say,
going to go nuts in the comments.
he's doing good. It's all good.
Let me pull something on you. This will be unusual, probably be a first in your show. And if you don't mind,
please do.
I've written a musical with 2 partners. It's called Convention, the Birth of America. And we go through and we hold the delegates accountable. We show about the Sturm and Drang, the debates and the rest that they had. And we actually have a great song in there, in my view. It's called What About Me? So yes, you have the delegates happily that, oh, we're, freedom is what we strive for, brotherhood is what we live, and all the rest. And then you have a slave saying, well, what about me? And he says, you build all this on my backs, what about me? And then you have certainly a woman saying, well, wait a minute, I don't see anything to be all that joyful about. I cook and sew and clean. I don't get to go to school. I don't get to own property. What about me? Then you have a Native American, of course, and you're cheating your ancestry and the rest. And then eventually we have our finale, and then we bring up to date what's been going on. And the reason I'm doing this is at the end of this, after the bows and everything else, the curtain comes up, and Ben Franklin, who's been our moderator, comes out on stage, motions George Washington to come out, and says, George, it seems throughout this show that we've had some eavesdroppers. George says, wow, dropping your eaves, that's got to hurt. But, well, no, wait a minute. Stage manager, put up some candle power out there. There are people out. Well, there are people out there. Wow, look at all of them. Wow, they have better teeth. Yeah, and better eyeglasses and that sort of stuff. But then he speaks to somebody in the front row. What year is this? 2020? Well, George, we don't have much time, but, we're 240 years later. Is there anything you'd like to tell to these people, our descendants, 240 years later? George says, yes, in fact, I do. They say you like to call us founding fathers. Our portraits are still in your history books. To that we'd like to say we're deeply honored and glad to see the artist captured our good looks. But if we're the fathers, you're our sons and daughters, with some greats and grands appended, that's for sure. And though we never met you, we knew you'd be coming along someday. So we wrote this Constitution to keep you safe and strong the American way. Keep it alive, see that it thrives, and pass it along again. You have to be wise, just open your eyes. You have to be strong, and then teach your children well, maybe even tell them of your founding fathers, of your sons and daughters, carried it through 100 or 2 perilous years to hand it to you. Now George Washington looks at the audience and says, so now you are the people. It's you. You are the we. It's yours. Your Constitution, it belongs to you and me. Yes, you are the people. It's you are the we. It's yours, your Constitution, for this land of the free. Carry it forward, carry it on, protect and defend it in keeping it strong. And when there is weakness, amend if you must, but harbor no meekness, defending this trust. Now the whole cast. For you are the people. It's you are the we. It's yours, your Constitution, for this land of the free. Curtain.
Yay, do we have the applause button?
Hold on. I don't
Applause
think you can
button.
hear it.
If you can't hear it, it's an applause.
It's now up to us. It's just up to us. Ronald Reagan, freedom is not free. It's up to us. And if it ain't working, it's our fault. Shame on us because it's not working.
It is.
We're going to do our best to change it.
I'm so glad that you came on to hang out with us tonight. It's
a pleasure.
This was so much fun. I don't know how long. I don't know if you guys discussed time-wise. I don't want to keep you from anything if you have anything going on. But we'll continue talking unless you have to go. That's fine.
I have another 10 minutes or so, if that would work for you.
Okay, that's great. Because I'll just keep people. I'll keep people on here forever because this is how we socialize. So
take the gloves off. Ask me the question that you really feel needs to be addressed, because I don't have all the answers. By the way, let me say, if people are interested, go to Gray Sharpe 2020. Sharpe is, of course, SHARPE. My website is judgejimgray.com, where it pretty much sets forth who I am, my background, and the rest. I'm proud of what I've been able to do. I was able to put in a peer court, which mentors our young people. I've written another musical also called Americans All that helps mentor our young people. And I also say, as often as I can, I don't have all the answers, by no means. In fact, if I run into someone that has all the answers, I run as fast as I can in the opposite direction.
Away from them.
But,
Yeah.
Those people are dangerous.
Yeah, but we can discuss issues. We can discuss them together. We don't have to call each other names. We don't have to swear at each other. Nobody has all the answers. Life is complicated. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but it's complicated. And so
It is.
various people, various needs. Let's talk with each other. And I think that libertarians will unite the United States of America, and that's why I'm doing this. So
That's great.
take your gloves off, ask me the question, and we can grapple with it together.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to bring up guns just because
There you go.
we're a group of, liberty-loving people who feel that we, as just humans, have that natural right to bear arms, and defend ourselves. And people come along and say things like, well, that was for muskets or hunting, or, you shouldn't be able to have a tank. But I feel personally I should be allowed to have anything that's out there. If it's going to come against me, I should be allowed to protect myself in an equal fashion. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm the right person to ask this, because I will openly say I am not a gun enthusiast. I'm just not. Having said that, it's a matter of responsibility and it's a matter of liberty. I've never used any illicit drugs either. It's pretty much the same thing. It's a matter of responsibility. It's a matter of liberty. And then, if you regulate and control them, maybe you could require people to have gun training before they own a gun. And let me give you an example, a personal experience. I was on the bench and I had this lawsuit in which there was actually a chef who owned a restaurant, and he had a house, and then he had kind of a mother-in-law apartment back in his backyard. And so the mother-in-law was carrying her little poodle, who was in heat actually, and was leaving the main house just to go out to her little apartment. And when she did that, a German Shepherd from the neighbors had jumped the fence and actually hit her and knocked her down, because I guess he noticed that her little dog was in heat. So she screamed. So the daughter said, "Oh, Dad, get your gun. Grandma's being attacked." So Dad went in and got his gun, came outside, and by the time he got out there, the German Shepherd had jumped back out of the yard, so he wasn't there. But the mother had her head on her shoulders, and she called the police. So the police were there. They came, and so they were told what was going on, and they were outside the wall, and they said, "Is there someone inside with a gun?" And the guy said, "Yes." They said, "We're not coming in unless you put your gun away." Okay, so at that point, he went to put it back into his nightstand, but he had over-oiled the gun, and when he was carrying it, it slipped. So he did what normal people, I guess, would do. When he did that, he tried to grab it with his left hand, whereupon the stupid thing went off and shot the living hell out of his left hand. So what he did was sue the owner of the German Shepherd for his injuries. Now, I finally found that the law says that once the charge is over, see, the German Shepherd was wrong. They were wrong in letting the German Shepherd out, jump the fence. That was his problem. If they were going to sue him for having knocked down his mother-in-law, that would be an offense. But by this time, the German Shepherd is gone. There was a homeostasis. The threat was over. And so the problem was he hadn't been experienced enough, knowing how to handle the gun, over-oiling it and all the rest of that stuff. So he caused the damage himself. So I think education is a really good thing. Maybe the NRA is in good position to be able to give that education. But if it's regulated and controlled, that could happen. If it's not, it won't. So I would regulate it and control it. Have people, by the way, get an education on gun control and handling. And then, like you say, if you want to have a gun, you may. That is at least my view, again, not being a gun enthusiast. I believe in responsibility, and I believe in freedom. How am I doing?
You're doing great. You know what, when I first, again, going back to when I was first learning about libertarian stances and anarchy and just all of that responsibility, like freedom comes with that responsibility. And I would think of things and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. But to have the freedom to do things is more valuable than the bit of fear that's over here, like kind of hanging over. Well, what if someone does this? People are still going to do stuff, like it's not a perfect society.
I think once people are held accountable for their actions, people are going to get a little smarter.
That's right. Yeah, you have to have responsibility. And I think personally as a gun owner, I feel that, yes, you should learn how to.
Yeah, you should.
I don't think it should be enforced like by the government. I think it'd be cool if, places that sold guns said like, hey, we offer this class and We'd like
Yeah.
to teach you how to use it, properly, because that would be nice.
Sure.
But it's hard to say that, I have a hard time when, like with government regulating something and telling me what to do.
Yeah, we're kind of hardliners with the shall not be infringed and
Yeah.
period.
But private
Okay, let me
industries.
get. I'm going to take a chance here. I was a federal prosecutor, and I once prosecuted a case in which a guy was in possession of an automatic pistol, and I prosecuted it, and I still would today. An automatic pistol is meant for nothing but assassination. You're not going to go hunting with it. You're not going to protect yourself with it. It is an assassination tool. So I think there are some weapons that should not be used. Where, I'm not smart enough to know, but I think an automatic pistol should be illegal. That's what I think. What do you think? Tough case.
Shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
I believe in recreational nukes. That's my stance. If it exists, you should be allowed to have it. Nobody should tell you shouldn't.
Yeah. I want a tank just because they exist, and I want to be able to defend myself if tanks start rolling down the street. But
Thank you, Mrs. Sherman. Thank you, Mrs. Sherman. You're gonna.
But that's how a lot of us feel, and I think that when people say anarchists, they get maybe a negative image in their mind, or they get a bad rap for saying they want anarchy. It's not that we don't want rules; we just don't want rulers. And I learned that from somebody through the show. Actually, I've learned so much, and I love talking to people and hearing their viewpoints, because I don't want to have an argument. I just want to have a discussion. And sometimes I learn things, and I really think about it for days, like that really,
Good.
spoke to me. So, but yeah, we're
Mary,
all for rules, like, don't hurt other people.
The whole idea. That's the whole idea. We should be able to. Life is complicated. We've already covered that. I don't have all the answers. You raise some legitimate points. I hope I do too. We ought to be able to discuss them and come up with something. And by the way, it should be a matter of federalism. Should not be a federal government issue. It should be a state issue. So let's try something in Illinois. Maybe that works pretty well. Somebody in Indiana will try. Doesn't quite work as well. Wait a minute, Gus. Look what they're doing in Illinois. That works better. Let's try that. We can go through and try all of these various things.
That's what you've always.
That's small experiments.
Yeah, small experiments.
So when everybody starts leaving your state, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
And the smaller the area, the easier to see the results.
Indeed so. And it's called 50 Crucibles of Democracy, and we can learn from each other. So I think that's where it should be. It should be a state issue.
I love that we got a chance.
At any rate.
Yeah, I know you got a dash, but I thank you again, because it is, even if we have a few differing, points of view and stuff, it doesn't matter. We had a great time. We really enjoyed the song. Thank you. Can we view that somewhere? Was that like,
It's not been staged yet. I have the music. We have CD, so it's going to be on my website, judgejimgray.com, in a couple of weeks. So you're welcome to do that. We actually have some songs from Americans All. It's on there right now. But let me leave you, and thank you for the opportunity. It's just nice to be able to share thoughts with you. Again, I don't claim to have all the answers, but I'll ask you a question that I know it's been on your mind. What is the difference between a raven and a crow? David, I know you know this, but Mary, maybe you don't. What's the difference between a raven and a crow?
I don't know this one.
And the answer is, ravens are somewhat larger than crows. So they have 5 pinion feathers in their tail, and crows are smaller. They only have 4 pinion feathers in their tail. So the answer is, the difference between a raven and a crow is a matter of opinion.
Opinion. Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, I'm going to say, the Libertarian Party is a large umbrella, and there's a lot of different thoughts, and a lot of the Libertarian Party itself and the people who follow it are what we call minarchists, that believe in a small amount of government, and that they serve a role for the people. And our community and us, and we're more on the far end of that, where it's like they really don't need to have that much to do with anything at all. But it's nice to hear a differing opinion and to hear your stance on things. It was a really good conversation.
It was so wonderful.
Look at Article 1, Section 8. It pretty much delegates authority to the the federal government. I would take away the post office. It's in there. I think FedEx and UPS and stuff can do it better. But I do think that we should have a military run by the federal government. I think a federal court system is a good idea. Even coining money to have, we can go to Bitcoins or whatever. And I really do think, like we began our discussion, where it is the federal obligation to prepare for emergencies. By the way, quickly, I would do away with FEMA. I think they're wasted. I would instead have a public-private contract with people like the Red Cross and things like that, which would do it far, far better and much less expensively. But there's room for discussion. There is room for the federal government, but it should be much, much more. I will leave you with this comment, and I think I will get unanimity. The big government is really, really good and effective at increasing the size, the power, and the cost of big government.
Yeah.
And that's something that we all trim back. And we're going to help do that. Larry Sharpe and I, go to Gray Sharpe 2020, go to judgejimgray.com, watch my webcast, actually a podcast at All Rise, The Libertarian Way with Judge Jim Gray. And I'd love to share thoughts with you again sometime. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Life
This is great.
Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yes.
This was awesome.
You take care.
You bet. Thank you. Be well. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
I enjoyed that conversation a lot, and we got a song out of it. That was so great. I loved it. You know me. I love that stuff. Oh my goodness. So, okay, we heard a lot of things. We heard a lot of different things, and I could tell when he said something, I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody be nice.
Yeah, and that's what I said.
But that's it.
The Libertarian Party is a wide umbrella.
Yeah.
And we're on this.
Yeah,
in
we're
the bottom
over
right
in this
corner.
side here, but I can still feel like my whole my little minarchist thing comes into play, where I say how are we going to transition? Because I know we talk about the big igloo and stuff, and I don't want to have to go through that with my family.
Yeah.
So if we could just quickly transition without having to do that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I think the first step is just even talking to people about less government interference in their lives. I think it might win people over a little bit more than yeah, fuck them all. We're gonna, So I can see where he's saying that. Yeah, I see that,
Sorry,
Sean Hatchie. I see that.
I'm not making that a thing. I'm not making Bo-Right a thing. I did it on Vermin Supreme, and I don't want to ask everybody.
It can't
who
be
we
the new
interview.
noodles and chili thing,
Yeah,
okay?
which is garbage. Nobody puts noodles in chili. That's silly.
Chili over your noodles.
Yeah, I think
though.
constitutionalists are minarchists. Anybody.
Okay.
I mean, minarchist is just a small government. You
Yeah.
believe in a government has a reason.
And it does make sense. That does
guess.
make sense because with the Constitution, you do
Yeah.
feel like that was supposed to keep them in line, and then who let them out of line? How
Mary,
did
what
that
do you
get?
think about Bo-Right?
I love Bo-Right. Are
Yeah,
you kidding
he's a
me?
pretty
Oh
cool
my
guy.
gosh, I love Bo.
He
Yeah.
gets a little edgy sometimes and makes me uncomfortable, but
His-
maybe that's my status
well-
side. I don't know how to feel about things. I
No,
haven't
no, no,
researched
no.
enough.
It's
but
okay if he
that's-
wants to share it. Sometimes I react wow, I laughed at that, and I probably
Yeah,
shouldn't have
John
laughed at
Kaufman.
that, but I laughed at that. Oh, it's more wowing me. Mary, your response to this, you're so. But I love Bo, and I think the first thing I was like, oh, Bo's back. One of his first. I'm not even going to say what the post was.
I know.
I was like, Dave, did you see the?
Here he comes back to Facebook. Oh, there he goes on another band.
Oh my gosh!
I don't
Yeah.
know Bojangles.
But I missed him when he was gone. It was too long. 40-some days.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
and look what happened. It was 40-some days that Bo was gone. The whole
Coronavirus.
world
the whole
went to shit.
country is grilled cheese and chili, no noodles around the chili, no noodles ever
you
near
can
the
do that.
chili.
As long as you have the chili, and then you can do whatever you want with it, but you don't put the noodles while you're cooking it. You don't put the noodles in the chili. That's
Right.
not right. You can put chili on noodles.
Couscous.
That's delicious. That's awesome. You can dip grilled cheese into chili. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as the chili remains the chili by itself, you scoop into the pot and it's just chili.
Yeah.
I'm standing hard on that one.
A nice thick. It's all, and I think David always says that it's like a.
Joel,
it's
you're
like
off the rails tonight, man. It's like
Where's Toby? Yeah, Joel, I couldn't even. Dave was reading your comments, and he's like, I can't even read these because You're making them
So
laugh.
Twitch, I'm done with Twitch. I cut off
I'm
the Twitch
sad,
stream.
though.
They followed us to YouTube. I blocked them all there. I'm done with Twitch. That one, our one friend there, Rippy.
Roller girl.
F's in the chat for Roller Girl. I can't. It's too distracting. I couldn't listen to what he was saying. Yeah, he.
Oh no.
You guys couldn't see. I was like throwing shit. Like.
Yeah, Dave was like, woo! Yeah. Hi, Joel. How are you? Another essential worker at a grocery store. Tell us, how's the wearing of the masks going? Yeah. Oh, we do love you too, Joel and
You're
Kate.
awesome.
And
I
Kate's
think you're
in,
like
LLN community now, right?
She
Yeah.
is. And Joel, you're like our #1 commenter poster in the group.
But what I want to say is just that we did have a great conversation, even if it was not the answers we wanted to hear. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I knew that the audience was going to have a response to that kind of thing, but you guys were super respectful. And
Yeah,
I
you guys
appreciate
did
that.
pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know if Christian's still here, but I know you were.
He'd probably just shut it down. He was like, and done.
He's like, they're asking the question. I did my job.
Yeah.
I knew he knew the answer to it.
Yeah.
Like as Mary's asking, and I'm like, I think you know.
I know. Like, oh, he's going to keep saying we have to ask about it.
But I guess, I mean, our page reaches a lot of people that isn't our own little tight community, and maybe
Yes,
people
hopefully.
need to see that. It was a really good interview. He was fun to talk to. Once I could pay attention after Twitch was gone, and they followed us to YouTube, and I had to ban them all there.
I don't understand, but I guess whatever. That's what they want to do. So
They're probably still there. I don't know how to actually ban people. I just muted their comments.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably why we have 11 YouTubers. Now they're just forced to watch it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, we try to put on a good show. I can't be reading comments and deciding if it's mean or racist.
Endorses it. I'm pretty sure that's his least favorite word ever. ever. Oh man.
You did okay. The Twitch is like, as long as you're on topic and a little disrespectful, that's fine.
Yeah.
But these guys are like, judging everything other than what we're actually talking about.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Look at me. I got like a little red scratch there because my hair's like tickling my neck, and I'm so Irish that one little tickle makes me. Yeah.
But that was fun. He was fun to
It
talk
was
to.
fun.
And it worked
It
out
was-
better than I thought because I was afraid about the audio things.
No, it worked out
But,
wonderful.
yeah, as long as
and
we
you know
took
what
our time.
happens is when this furnace kicks on,
Mhm.
it makes noise, and then
it
it's-
mutes him.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Exactly.
told him that
Yep.
was a.
Oh yeah, you can swear at people under your breath a lot better when you're wearing a mask.
They don't see your lips moving.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
this
fuck you.
bitch. Yeah, hard question. That's fine. calling them like really bad
Right.
things. Like I
That's
realize
what the Twitch people were just like.
what I realized
weird.
is that when I muted them in Restream chat, which was coming up on the screen, I went to YouTube and I saw that their chat was actually still coming up there. That's why I was kind of over here doing stuff and like blocking them there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. That's from the drinking, being Irish. You
Yeah,
get a
we've
little-
we've had. Well, there's no reason to continue with Twitch, and I think I'm done with that. Periscope's awesome because nobody watches us there.
Oh.
We haven't had a single viewer, I think, on Periscope.
I'm just so sad about Roller Girl though.
Maybe we'll have to figure out.
We have to find a way to connect with her because how can you find
Yeah, I
somebody
am drunk.
on
Thanks, Erica.
on Twitch? Thank you. She was just somebody who came in and was talking to us 3 or 4 times on a Friday night live stream.
I'll put it up on Facebook. See who wants us to continue the Twitch stream.
Oh my, they're gonna say yes.
No, they're gonna say no because nobody on Facebook's on Twitch.
But when they're in here though, they're gonna say like, I don't know. But then YouTube got weird. I mean, not like the people we know.
No,
on
they
YouTube,
followed
but
us.
They followed
when
us
I
over.
when I shut down the Twitch stream, they came to YouTube. I
Yeah.
watched them do it.
People are crazy.
But and it's like I don't mind. Like I'll let a lot of it through. But once they start getting like just nasty or racist or stuff like that,
Right.
then I have to ban them. But I'm
Here.
totally distracted from what our guest is saying, and I can't be involved in the
I
conversation.
know. Facebook stream.
Yeah,
Oh,
Twitch is
okay,
a good
yeah.
platform, but the people.
Wait, play my fuck the curfew video. Okay, we'll do an after party for Seth so we can play his video. Seth sent a video over fuck
Oh, yeah,
the
we'll play
curfew.
Metro Basher.
All out of
You're
tonic
keeping
water.
Mixer alive.
For your gin. I'm so sorry. We're all out of gin for our tonic water. No, Dave did run to New York State yesterday or 2 days ago. 3 days ago, was it? To get some alcohol. Where's my Carwood? He could have quoted that one where I had that pause. So I was like half.
See, that's what's
burping,
wrong. Twitch is full of anti-fraggles.
We-
They probably don't even know about Fraggle. Uncultured swine.
Get a Periscope. Thank
It's
you.
awkward. I've tried watching our videos on Periscope, and I click things, and weird stuff happens.
So how's everybody doing? I'm just curious about the quarantine and all the things that are shut down. If you are going out, if you're essential, if you're not going out, how do you feel about it? And has your drinking increased?
Oh.
Because I feel like
This is unsustainable.
yeah. I'm not doing it so much like a day drinking. It's just I'm
Not
like,
at all,
we're gonna
but
stay
the
up
night is getting a
late.
lot longer.
Yeah, it is. I heard birds this morning. I was like, Mary, what the fuck are you
Yeah,
doing?
I was sleeping.
Yeah. I was like laying there like, listen, I was making myself a YouTube playlist. Like, oh, I love that song. Oh, Whitney Houston. Uh-huh. Oh, Michael Jackson. Oh, yeah. Dirty Dancing. Please. Like all the songs from like the 80s and Tiffany and Debbie Gibson. Oh, yeah. Yep. Don't worry. I had some like Guns N' Roses in there too. And
Oh, I was worried.
Who else? What's Poison? Yeah, stuff like that. But he's not even speaking English at this point. I wish I could understand what you're saying. Yeah. Partially blind. Right eye is still a little fuzzy though. Josh, when did you go partially blind? Are you joking?
Who did what?
Josh says I'm no longer partially blind. What happened? What did I miss? I haven't been in the chat in forever. I've been also very bad about answering anything on Facebook or Messenger. I look at it and I'm like, oh, these messages, and I'm like, I'm gonna send my phone over there. Oh yeah. I've been drinking and then drinking Mountain Dew to stay up and then playing. Oh, I'm so glad you're having a good time. That's a lot of fun.
Is that what you've been watching Sherry's thing? Was that Saturday nights?
What's that? Oh, Saturday nights. Yes. Y'all
Yeah.
been tuning into Sherry Voluntari's virtual bar on Saturday nights. Yes, it is. It's so much fun. Yep. Because we watch Christian and then Sherry comes on and it's so fun. I love it because we're all hanging out. It's a ton of fun. I love it. Yep.
Yeah, we got a new Xbox One S
Yes.
with our Trump bucks.
Yeah.
Trying
Like,
to keep
you know
the kids
what?
off of us.
We're all, yeah.
But we had to get the new Minecraft because the old Minecraft 360 version wasn't getting updated anymore, and everybody wanted bees and fireplaces.
And pandas and lanterns and scaffolding and fire pits. Did you say that already? And all the other things and bamboo. Because I don't play on the computer. I play on a console. I'm sorry, I'm a console girl. I have to try really hard to figure out how to do that. But I think our kids do pretty well. You know that. Even Janie was mouse and keyboard.
Oh yeah,
gaming.
Yeah, Chris
you know,
is
all
really
of
good
our
because
kids
he was
are
doing
good
that
at it, yeah.
Roblox for like months, and he was just.
Yeah.
I watch his hand go. It's like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and he's left-handed too, so it might make it. Well, I don't know. I would have my
don't
right
know,
hand on
yeah.
the mouse. I don't know what he does. I'll have to watch sometime. So.
Yeah. It looks different, but he's cruising around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody needs that much sand.
What are we talking about?
Pocket sand.
Pocket sand.
Ban pocket sand.
Oh yeah. No, what was the movie where they had the girl had, or maybe it was the guy had a thing of bees in a glass jar, and they were like superheroes.
Oh, the jar of
you know,
bees.
remember? And they would like
What was that? Yeah.
they threw the jar of bees.
It was that dark like superhero thing
Yeah.
where the dude wasn't really a superhero, but he
Right.
thought he was.
Yeah.
What was
Yep.
that movie?
I can't remember. Let's see. Oh, you got a Sega Genesis? What?
You running, bro?
I'm running so much. Oh my!
See, like right
Did you
now,
put the cotton balls on like on The Office?
because that chafing is
The
a
chafing.
nasty circle. You know, the more you chafe, the more sensitive they get. The more sensitive they are, the more you chafe. Next thing you know, blood's leaking through your shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, salt
Just
pocket
no
sand.
assault.
So
Kick-ass. Thank you, Joel.
It's got to be brown pocket sand. You can't have that.
Kick-ass. That was the
Yeah,
name of the movie.
okay, yeah.
Yes. Yep,
Altered.
yep, yep. All right. So, no spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it, but has anybody been watching Ozark? Because I just finished season 3.
Yeah, Mary watches Ozark, and I play with my blender.
He plays with the program blender?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, how does that
I
come out
didn't
so
know how
bad?
it could be dirty, but I was afraid that it could be like so.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I named my.
You named it Blender. But no, it's such a good show, and I'm not going to say anything. But Dave was taking a bath last night because he likes to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I kept
Comfortable enough in my masculinity to soak in
Absolutely.
the tub with candles and bubbles and
Absolutely,
maybe some
yeah.
Epsom salts.
I kept running in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need someone to talk to about
And
this.
I'm like, look
Dave's
at this
like,
TikTok video. It's
yeah,
hilarious.
he's like laughing at stuff, and I'm over there like, he's like, why are you watching it? I'm like, it's so good. Halfway through season 3. Oh my gosh. Tell me when you get to the end so that we can talk about it. I'm not going to say anything. I need to join a group.
There's got to be a support group for Ozark viewers.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Hogan's Heroes. What? Don't want to spoil it for anybody.
I haven't seen it. My mom used to watch it, but I didn't really get into it that much. But
Yeah. How about MASH?
I hear it's pretty good. MASH, mom loved MASH.
Yeah, my grandma Jane loved MASH so much. I really should watch it because I think now I would appreciate it more than
You
I,
would.
did.
There's
back
probably a
then,
lot
since-
of adult stuff in it that
Yeah.
even you're like, oh, it's black and white or whatever Technicolor. You'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, that can't be funny.
Yeah.
Free hugs.
Free hugs.
your,
Weird that out.
your Corona mask says free
Free
hugs.
hugs.
That's awesome.
That's why Celeste is so badass. Like, that is... I love you. That's hilarious. Oh, my, yes.
It was
It was a frustrating season.
Mary was going ape shit last night.
Yeah. Yeah, I binged probably 4 of them a couple, like 2 days ago, and then last night I finished, The other ones I had watched like up to. But I had kept up with the seasons 1 and 2. I was waiting for 3 to come out. But
How are we still maintaining 10 views on YouTube?
So
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
wild, man. Such a wild show. And Dave's like, all of that though? I'm
Yeah,
like, but it's
it's
not my
nothing to do
life.
with me.
It's not my life.
I don't like anxiety producing shows. Like I almost didn't watch Breaking Bad because
yep.
of the first 2 episodes were like, and then it got kind of
Yeah.
fun. And I like fun. I like comedy. I like horror to the point of comedy. I also like scary horror.
He likes to be scared. I do not.
Yeah,
that
but I
gives
don't.
me
But the like
massive
the anxiety, like
yeah.
I don't know, something about
Out of Shadows. What?
Q.
I don't know what that is. What's
I know.
Q?
I watched some videos on Q, and it was very uplifting. Like everything's gonna be okay because it's under control. But what?
Ryan Seifert. I've been watching original Transformer cartoons with toaster strudels for breakfast and SpaghettiOs for lunch.
You live in that life, bro.
I need to go back and do that. Just do that. Just we're gonna. Well, you
Yeah.
don't have to because you're really being good
Eat
on
your
keto.
cereal.
But
We did that, didn't we? Like for a while, we tried to force them to watch like Saturday morning cartoons, like this.
Yeah.
Like when we were little, it's like cartoons were on a certain time, and that's when you watched your cartoons, and then the cartoons ended, and you went outside and lived life. Meanwhile, now you get on YouTube and Hulu and Netflix, and cartoons are just 24/7, or even before that, cable television where you had Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
remember when you had to wait for your cartoons?
Yeah, you'd wait for the cartoons come on,
Saturday?
you'd watch them, and then they ended.
Yeah. That's it. That's how it. That's the truth. That is the truth. Yep. Oh, I love that. No
Are we
touching.
doing Arrested Development? Is that
Did
what
we say? What did we say? Breaking Bad. We didn't say Arrested Development, did we? Did
I don't
I?
know. Could've.
Jesus. Yes, I love that. I want that. No touching. Yeah. Cartoons on VHS.
Oh, you're cheating if you're recording them.
No, I used to record like all the Saved by the Bells
I feel like when we started recording
because
things,
then I
it
would
was like,
just watch them over and over
I
again.
borrowed like an 8-hour tape of Ren and Stimpy from one of my friends in
Yeah.
school, in exchange for my Tom Green tape.
No, do you know who that was?
That was later.
Nope. 420. I remember we planned a trip to see her sister, and we were going to go down there and chill. And we had never seen Tom Green, and Molly had never seen Simpsons. So we
is that how it
traded.
did?
Yeah, and so we took Tom Green VHS down to your sister's house.
Had to suffer through
Yeah.
Strawberry Shortcake waiting for Voltron.
I know, right? Yeah.
Killing me, man.
Oh gosh. But I remember Nickelodeon too, having cartoons on, like.
I never had Nickelodeon.
Yeah, but that was at my grandma's house, you know,
Okay.
and we would watch, I don't know, Strawberry Shortcake and the Berenstein. What is it?
Sure, don't you
Berenstain?
say
How
that, Bob.
how do you say that? The
Steen.
Stein, whatever bears.
Don't ask Bo, right?
But what was that show? Does anybody remember where the lady was a mannequin and she would come to life?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Today's special. Oh my gosh, it was Today's Special.
Oh, shit.
And she was like Canadian because she'd always say again and sorry. You know, like I knew it. Like, what's up with her accent? And there was the little mouse that lived in the wall. It had like a little mansion. Yeah. Borenstone bars.
Dragon Ball Z. See, that's after our time.
Berenstein.
So like we got back into cartoons
Borgen.
around, SpongeBob, Ed, Ed and Eddie, Cow and Chicken.
That's when we got back into cartoons. Yeah.
Johnny Bravo. Like that's when we were old enough to smoke
Yeah.
weed and watch cartoons again. Is when we got back into those. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. And now the kids
No
are
wonder. That sounds
watching
familiar.
Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Yeah,
Now,
because our
yeah.
kids are homeschooled, so they're not influenced by many other kids. So they just, I'm like, we like this cartoon, and so now they're all way into Ed, Ed and Eddie,
Yeah.
which is like twitchy animation. So like I'm watching Ed, Ed and I'm like, I'm feeling like overwhelmed by the everything's like
They
jiggly.
love it.
It's killing me.
Yeah, yep. Cow and Chicken, man. Oh my gosh, yeah, yep. Cow and Chicken.
And then a little bit of Fairly Odd Parents. Johnny Bravo.
And you know what? We watched.
Whoa, mama.
We did watch SpongeBob when it came out because we would just
Because
smoke
we
weed.
were
and-
in a restaurant. and
Yeah.
The other cook said, "Hey, you got to watch this guy. He's like a sponge, but he's like
Yeah.
a kitchen sponge, and he
we
lives
just
in a
smoke and
pineapple.
watch it and just be like, oh my gosh,
He
this is
loves his
hilarious."
job. This is how I can accept my life."
Yeah, he loves his job. It was good stuff. Whoa, wait, what did you hear?
Oh,
What?
there is a thing. Is it about the spelling? How does that work?
I didn't wake and bake to him.
Whole movies. I saw a little bit of that.
What's his face? The painter guy, Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Yes, you could just
A little bit of that.
like a little and just watch him and like just chill.
But it's
I
like I
love
feel like I
Mr.
grew up
Rogers,
as Bob
yeah.
Ross as a kid, so it's like coming back and watching it hide. I don't know. I didn't really ever get into it.
It's so peaceful. I could just watch it
Mm-hmm.
anytime. I should put it on for the kids. I mean, frick, he is amazing. You know,
Who's your
I
favorite
should.
movie?
Dazed and Confused. Yeah.
I've seen some Happy Tree Friends. Not for kids.
Not for kids. But wasn't it somebody sent us a picture and was like, this is in the kids DVD section? Like, and it was the Happy Tree Friends.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, move that.
That goes somewhere else.
Berenstein versus Berenstain. Yeah.
That's what it was. It was something like that. I never heard of that
Amazing
stuff.
World of Gumball. I'm gonna have to look into that. Okay, so we need to catch up on Rick and Morty because we missed this whole last season anyway.
Is it out there? We got to check
I don't
that
know.
watchcartoononline.io.
Rick and Morty is back on like May 5th or something, and so we have only seen a couple episodes of the newest season, which is the old season. I do. He's a kitchen
You've been
sponge.
proving that all night, Joel.
Celeste.
Oh yeah. Hey, he's a kitchen sponge.
Yeah, but his parents are actually sea sponges. It's so cute. 'Cause
Whoa.
They're
Yeah,
real like
they're
sea,
lumpy.
like yeah, they're lumpy and yep.
How did they have a kitchen sponge? I guess that's where kitchen sponges come from.
Yeah, I don't know. So should we do we're gonna do an after party
Yeah.
because Seth, we're gonna play
Yeah, we're gonna
Seth's
screw around.
video.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what. Tuesday night we do every Tuesday we do shows in a closed group. Liberty Memes community group every other week, and Liberty Memes Patreon members every other week. because that's where we were born. That's the only reason that we have a show is because of Liberty Memes, because of the community they built that we just became a part of and accidentally made a show.
We just wanted to get to know everybody, and it turned into this. Yeah.
So that's what happens there. But Tuesday night we're in Patreon, which we go a little extra nuts because it's a paywall. You know, you have to pay money to be in that group.
For the LMPM, yeah.
So I got, I think, 6 copyright
Oh,
infringements
yeah.
on YouTube.
Like, we're just play all the music.
We just started playing music, but we were only playing like 5 seconds of the music videos, which I guess is too long. But I have a whole list of emails saying,
Enjoy the cartoon.
and I'm like, go ahead, let them fight over the revenue from that stream with 4 people watching.
Yep. Because we don't make any money on
No.
YouTube.
I don't make any money on
So you
YouTube.
guys.
Even on a Friday night when we get this huge crowd of 11 people
Yep.
over there.
Oh yeah. I think what did you say? You looked us up on YouTube. We're like nine.
No. Yeah, if you go to what is it, something Social Blade or something, they rank all the YouTube channels, and I was just like looking because you can see like a lot of stats on your channel, and like, oh, we're like 9 million in the country. That's cool.
It's awesome.
'Cause every 10-year-old has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it. So thanks for hanging out, guys.
Yeah.
This was great. We enjoyed having Judge Jim Gray on the show tonight.
It was really nice of him to show up. That was cool.
It was very cool, and I enjoyed chatting with him. We don't always have to have the same opinions, you know, and everybody was very cool about, you know, things he was sharing that maybe...
we didn't agree with.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine.
That's how you be an adult. You
Yeah.
can have a conversation without having to yell, you know, and get mad. You can just, even if it is like, you know, things we don't agree with. So, thanks for hanging
That's
out,
awesome.
Maria.
Another presidential candidate on Liberty
Yeah.
Late Night.
Yes, I know, right? Oh my
We've had
goodness.
like 4 or 5 of them now.
I'm very excited.
It's awesome.
Very
It's
excited.
wild. It's crazy. I feel like I'm fooling people every time I get like all these big people on the show. Like, oh, I tricked him into coming on again.
No, I think we're a lot of fun. I think he enjoyed himself and he felt comfortable enough to hang out and sing. You know what I mean? Like, where else is he going to do that? He's
Yeah.
going to go on other shows.
And they're going to just
and
hit
they're
him with
gonna
questions.
just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Here he gets to feel comfortable and, you know.
And promote his
just-
musicals. Like, I feel
Exactly.
bad that I didn't research him well enough. Like, I researched him enough to know, like, we might not
I
agree
didn't-
on everything.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But I think I saw something about him making musicals, but that's awesome. So go check that out.
Very
you know, maybe
cool.
the musicals
Yep.
are fun
Because I like musicals. You
for
know,
all layers of the Libertarian Party.
Yeah. Real quick, I have to ask your opinion on Bo Wright.
I like him a lot. Sometimes he makes me uncomfortable, though.
You know what, though? How sweet was he to say, when he came on our
Yeah.
show, he said, is there anything you would like me to not talk about? And you were able to say the one answer that made you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he said, will do. And
And then he said an angry meme.
yes, right. But he didn't talk about it.
He
So,
did good. And
yeah.
then he made memes afterwards.
Sure. That's fine. That's
That was
totally
beautiful.
fine. Yep.
That was
mhm.
fun.
I watched this whole stream with my nipples.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
We
Thank
try
you.
to add a different flavor because we watch a lot of some libertarian podcasts and streams and stuff, and we try to continue our platform of having no rules and just being outside of the normal.
Just have fun.
yeah.
Get to know people. That's really.
And I kind of wanted to get to more on that. Like it's like, okay, we talked enough about your stance on shit. Let's see
Yeah.
what was your life yet like.
Yeah,
Like John McAfee, the best ones were just stories about
Mm-hmm.
shit that happened to him, and I think that would have been like we should do that more. I like that.
That's
stuff.
what I like. I like to just know people because they can go on other shows and talk about all that kind of stuff, and we can touch base on that. But I really just like to get to know the person because they're another human in this world
And that's
that
what,
is
that's where
existing
we
with
started.
us. Hmm. And that's exactly
Let's
why
get
we
to know each other.
Yeah, we started our show was to just talk with people. So
Thanks for hanging out.
yeah. We're going to head over to LMPM. So if you are a part of Liberty Memes Patreon group,
Yeah. We're probably
you
going to
know.
drink more, and it's going to be nonsense, and it'll probably be a mess, and we just hope nobody watches it. It's pretty much how it goes.
Oh my gosh, the other night was. Yeah.
Check out Liberty Memes, Liberty Space Memes,
Mm-hmm.
Liberty Memes No Space. Check out Liberty Memes Community Group. Join the Liberty Memes Patreon because we're trying to promote voluntarism and helping each other without government intervention.
Yep.
Check out Liberty Late Night, all of our platforms. Check out Liberty Late Night Community Group on Facebook. And if you enjoy what you watch and you've been here a while and you're enjoying your time, maybe check out Liberty Late Night Patreon. We've actually got a few these past few days, which is awesome that you guys are enjoying this.
Yep.
It's really, it really encourages us. It makes us feel like, you know, I mean, we do this for free with one person.
Yeah.
Watching.
Seriously. This is just fun for us. We love coming down here and hanging out with you guys.
We've discussed it many times.
Yeah.
We would really just do a show with one viewer.
I know.
And just talk to you in the comments.
And that's it. Like, I think when I was very nervous when Dave announced the Patreon, I was like, don't do it. And he did it. And then people were like, responding. Finally. And I'm like, oh my gosh. What?
Made me cry. Made
Dave
on stream.
cry. Yeah. And
like how like my phone started ding ding ding.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like, whoa. But yeah, we'd be here. We're here always.
Yeah, we were
regardless.
here anyways in the beginning just to talk to people, and we'd be here because we don't get out that much.
Wait, you hit the whiskey jackpot.
42.
What?
That's the answer, Sean Hatchie.
It's the answer to life,
the universe,
and
everything.
I can't remember.
But what's the question? What's the question? That equals 42.
You know, I can see from the movie the little. I mean, they look like little girls, but they're probably like 500 years old. Like asking.
I think they're mice. I think they're mice.
Was it mice that asked?
Mice are the most intelligent creatures on this.
Oh, okay. I
planet.
thought they were.
Second to the dolphins. Well, ahead of the dolphins.
The cows are returning to the ocean. Did you see that?
Is it happening?
Oh, the question is just why? Yeah. Oh, you're on your 7th 7 and 7. That is whiskey. Go play the lottery right now.
Wait, what if you... Is that 42? There's 42 in there somewhere.
I don't know.
Is 7 and 7 42?
No, 49.
Whatever. Math is dumb. We should be working on base 8.
Yeah.
It might work out then. Somebody do the math for me. Base 10 stupid. We just do that because we have 10 fingers.
Woo! No,
so that's what I always think, because like when
I'm gonna drink for you, Josh. Right?
When pi doesn't work out,
I'll
like there's no end to it, and it's like because we're working on base 10. Maybe the base is wrong. Maybe there's an integer where pi would work out to a finite number.
I don't know.
I like math.
Crazy. Dave loves liquor, guns, bacon, and tits. 42, the answer to life.
There it is.
The something and everything.
Maybe if you like add up the numbers of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet, and then you get 42 from bacon, liquor, guns, tits.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren is returning from the beach.
Love you guys. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, we should go. We should definitely go.
See you in LPM.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
I don't like your T-Series. Nothing personal, kid. But I must go all out. Just this once. Bob's or Vagana, whichever will it be. Set the fuck down, T-Series. I'm here to spill the real tea. You tryna dethrone me from spot on number 1, but you India, you lose. So best think you haven't won. When I'm through with you, we're gonna be completely fucking done. Cause we only just begun. I review you. 0 vibe is gone. So come on, T-Series. Looking hungry for some drama. Here, let me serve you bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. T-Series ain't nothing but a bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Look at T-Series, they just crying for their mama. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. T-Series ain't nothing but a bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. T-Series just whip himself in their pajamas. So who the hell is Bob and why you wanna kiss him? Ew. I'm a blue-eyed white dragon while you're just dark magician. Oof. You got a fifth of the population in your nation, but I got 90 rolls of worlds to hold your defecation. Oops, multipatlo, what the fuck is that even supposed to mean? Your language sounds like it come from a mumble rap community. No papa, yes papa, Johnny. Now download the sugar and let's throw this fucking party with some bitch lasagna, bitch lasagna. Look at T-Series, they just crying for their mama. Bitch lasagna, bitch lasagna. T-Series ain't nothing but a bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Look at T-Series, they just wet in their nothing but a bitch lasagna. You got a population of 1.32 billion, but most your videos can't seem to hit even a million. Sabot!
Magic potty baby, your bottle's all done. If potty training time will be so much fun. I help you with your training dance, you make me so proud. Your potty feels like magic, then it flushes out loud.
It's fun to help Magic Potty Baby learn to use her potty. Flush and you're ready for next time.
Magic potty baby, I'm so glad that you're mine.
Magic Potty Baby and her Magic Potty. No water, no mess. Batteries not included.